Hi, second graders. It's good to be back with you again today. Today we will be doing our next lesson in the packet. And if you are looking at your schedule, we're working today on our May 12th lesson. There is no title on this page, but if you go to your packet and turn to the page that's on the opposite side of the class vote, as we read along, we're going to find out exactly what this page is. I'm sure it's something you've learned with all of your second grade teachers. So what I'm going to ask you to do is, if you need to, pause your video, grab your packet, and turn to this page, and we'll get started. Okay, so Mrs. Smale's going to turn here, and let's take a look, boys and girls, at this page. I'm going to start by reading to you what is at the top of the page. It says birth. If we follow along, this is how we use this resource. We go over and see the number 4. The next one is habitat. Slide over and we see the number 7. Go down to the next, diet and lifestyle. Slide over, number 10. And life cycle. Slide over and we see the number 15. I'm going to skip our strategy practice question, and we'll go back to that at the end. We're going to start by using a red marker or crayon, as it indicates with that, and it says, what title should be at the top of this page? Is this page that we just looked at, boys and girls, is it A, a glossary? Is it B, a table of contents? Is it C, an index? Or is it D, chapter 1? So take a look, and if you recall, you have learned that if we open up a textbook and look at the first page, these here indicate the pages we can find each of these titles or headings on. And boys and girls, this is called a table of contents. So the answer to number 1 is B. Circle or highlight letter B. We're going to slide next door to the second one, and we're doing this with our blue marker. It says, which part begins on page 7? Is it A, habitat, B, life cycles, C, diet and lifestyle, or D, birth? So if we go up to the top here and I find the page number 7, I'm going to go backwards and I'm going to slide over here, and our answer is habitat. That's right. So you're going to move down to your question section here, and the answer is A. Sorry, Miss Smale's trying to circle it or highlight habitat. The answer is habitat. Let's move on to the next question using your yellow crayon or marker. Each heading names one blank. Is it each heading names a chapter? Each heading names a picture? Each heading names a page or an animal? So if I go up here, what would you call each of these headings? Birth, that can be found on page 4. Habitat, that can be found on page 7. Diet and lifestyles, that can be found on page 10. And life cycles, found on page 15. Is that a chapter? Is it a picture? Is it a page? Or is it an animal? And boys and girls, these are the chapters. So the first chapter that begins on page 4 would be called birth. The next chapter would be about the habitat of an animal, found on page 7. Diet and lifestyle would be the chapter or heading found on page 10. And life cycles, we would learn about animals on page 15. So the answer to this one is, these are the chapter names. So the answer is A, and you circle or highlight A. It's a chapter. in a book. And our last question says, in which chapter would you find this sentence? Frogs eat insects like flies and mosquitoes. So I'm going to use my green marker and I'm going to think about this. I need to know which chapter would have the sentence that says that frogs eat insects like flies and mosquitoes. So I think about this question. What do frogs eat? They eat insects and they eat, and they eat mosquitoes. So which one of these goes along with what frogs eat? Is it about when a frog is born? Is it about the habitat of a frog, which would be where it lives? Is it the diet and lifestyle? What does diet mean? When I think of the word diet, I think about food and what we eat. So if you think about back to this keyword that we just highlighted, eat, I would say that the chapter that deals with what frogs eat, like insects and mosquitoes, that would be diet and lifestyles. We'll just look at our last choice. That would be life cycle, and that would be what the frog's life was like starting when it's born, as it grows and gets older, up and down to when the animal dies. So that has nothing to do with what it eats. So the answer to number 4 would be the chapter titled Diet and Lifestyle. What they eat and what they do. All right, boys and girls, now I said we'll go back to the question, how can a table of contents help you? If I answered this in a complete sentence, I know I would start with a capital letter, and I would use the words in the question to write my answer. So how can a table of contents help you? I would say a table of contents helps you find a chapter, or sometimes it's just called the heading in a book. So again, my answer was a table of contents helps you find, Mrs. Smale forgot her S. Good thing we reread the question. A table of contents helps you find a chapter or heading in a book. So I would know if I want to read the chapter on habitats, I would turn to page 7. If I wanted to read about the life cycle, I would turn to page 15. So that was our reading lesson today. Boys and girls, as I told you yesterday, we would take a look